Hi, welcome to another episode of Project Geospatial here at the, day 2 of the GEOINT 2021 Symposium here in St. Louis. I'm here with Scott Kaplan, part of the Civil Air Patrol. And Scott, go ahead and introduce yourself and let's get right into it.
Sure, my name is Scott Kaplan. I'm the volunteer national program manager for the Civil Patrol's Geospatial program. That's why I'm here today. Day job, I work for NGA, but here I'm completely focused on all things Civil Air Patrol.
Awesome. So what is the Civil Air Patrol? You know, we don't hear about it. You know, for those who don't realize it, it is actually a really big organization, and it's separate than a lot of things out there you might hear about. You know, it's not the military.
Sure. So Civil Air Patrol has a very long history. We actually go back to 1941. Originally, during World War II, the Civil Air Patrol was focused on homeland defense. We were flying aircraft up and down the coast looking for submarines and or enemy ships. We're actually credited with sinking 4 submarines as well as hundreds of ships. But after World War II, when the war was ending, they wanted to relook at how they could potentially keep the Civil Air Patrol and help it, still help with homeland missions. And so it started to change into more heavily focused on search and rescue. And then it also focused on cadet programs. So Civil Air Patrol is the auxiliary of the Air Force. So, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means, but we have 70,000 members nationwide. Out of those 70,000 members, we have 30,000 people that do real world emergency service operations. It has 3 components to it. So one is aerospace education. We're one of the largest aerospace education organizations in the country, teaching everything related to the STEM fields related around aerospace, and I count geospatial and GIS under that umbrella. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Cadet programs. So we have tens of thousands of cadets around the country who are 12 to 18 years old. They have the ability to go up to 21 if they were a cadet when they're 18 and they want to continue. Otherwise, they become a senior member. And the cadet program focuses on 4 specific areas. So leadership development, character development, physical fitness, and again, aerospace education, but trying to train our members to, either whether they want to go into the Air Force, the other military services, or other businesses and organizations, but it's providing them that opportunity. And then the last primary mission, which we'll talk obviously most about today, is emergency services. So when the Civil Air Patrol actually operates in a real world mission, let's say on behalf of FEMA or another agency or a state organization, we actually fall under Air Force authorities. So in that regard, our members actually become airmen for all purposes. It's part of the total force in support of the emergency response. When an organization like FEMA like that asks us to help with maybe a hurricane response or a tornado response, earthquakes, fires, they will put a mission request to Air Force to have Civil Air Patrol come help. And then the money's put against that, and then we're assigned a specific mission, and we go out and we fly the mission. So, not to distract us from, so how does someone join the Civil Air Patrol? Is it like an enlistment? Is it a volunteer effort? So everybody in Civil Air Patrol, except a very small percentage at national headquarters, is a volunteer. I am a volunteer. I am here actually at this event as a volunteer on leave from my day job. Anyone can join. Any of your kids can join. You can come to a squadron. So the basic structure of how Civil Air Patrol is set up is we have our national headquarters, which is based out of Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama, has maybe about 150 paid members of Civil Air Patrol. Then below that we have regions, so it's like multiple states. So where I live in Virginia, the Mid-Atlantic region, we have Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, the North Carolina wing, National Capital, Maryland, and Delaware. That's the Mid-Atlantic region. It's a series number of states. Then we have wings, because we're following the Air Force structure. So the wings is a state. We actually have 52 wings. That's because we count one that covers the National Capital Region. So Washington, D.C., a little bit of Virginia and Maryland is covered under that. And then Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands is another wing. So that's why 52. And then below that we have groups and then squadrons. Groups just help with span of control, large state. We can separate the state into different areas. But a squadron, you probably have down the street from you right now. They're normally founded in hold meetings either at schools, local armories, others. There are 1,400 squadrons around the country, actually more than that, but probably 1,400. So you look up on GoCivilAirPatrol.com. You can go to the Civil Air Patrol. You can come to our GIS hub at gis.cap.gov, and we have a link to find your CAP squadron, and it'll bring it up, and you find your local one. You go in, you meet for like 3. You have to go to normally 3 meetings just to show that you're actually interested in joining, and then it's sign up. Dues is really inexpensive, about like $60 a year.
Well, so you touched on the GIS and geospatial aspect. So what does geospatial have to do with CAP, and what are you doing here?
Sure. So for the past 3 years, I've been helping to build the CAP's geospatial program. We initially called it actually the CAP GIS program. What I realized is it was much more robust than that. So CAP, in reality, has been doing GIS and geospatial data and remote sensing for years, for almost since the beginning. We've just never quite used the right terminology to help the rest of industry understand that. When we have a mission where we're out flying, so an important thing to note is CAP has the largest fleet of general aviation aircraft in the country. We have 570 Cessnas around the country. We also have the largest fleet of small unmanned aerial systems, or SUAS, in the country. We have almost 1,800 and growing. We can fly high capability sensors. We've flown LiDAR. We have a camera called the Waldo camera, which can do 3D imagery, handheld imagery. When we're out doing those missions, normally they'd say, hey, we have an airborne photographer and we're taking pictures. Or we're flying a cool sensor, but the pilot's out there flying the plane, collecting the data.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What we're really doing is remote sensing. We're acting as a remote sensing device to provide captured data to provide to FEMA or others. And then once we're done, but we've also been using GIS tools, whether it's Google Earth, ArcGIS, QGIS, or others, to build maps or look at maps or look at the imagery. No one's ever actually, that I heard much, was, hey, we're doing GIS. So we use the right terminology of GIS and remote sensing, and you combine the data to tell a story, you're doing geospatial information. I've been actively trying to tell that story to as many people I can, especially in the geospatial industry, because I'm like, it's a $500 billion business, and if they understand that you have an entire organization nationwide of people from the age of 12 and older who are interested in this area and want to get involved in it, or that we're already doing it, then the rest of the industry stands up and goes, oh wait, you're doing what? And I've gotten that a lot, and I'm like, yeah, we've been doing this for years, and this is great stuff, and we can help. Not only am I potentially making your future employees, but we're doing real world missions where we're using probably a lot of the technology that you guys are providing.
Absolutely. So what types of sensors are you hoping to integrate within CAP at something like this?
So right now, CAP is looking long-term, obviously, at sensors. Part of it's, funding issues and things like that, and what we get. The biggest things we're starting to fly right now, the biggest recent game changer was the Waldo camera, which is through a company called Waldo Air. The CEO is a former CAP member, so we find CAP members everywhere. Here, actually, at this event, I've already talked with 2-3 people that have been CAP members or were CAP members or CAP cadets who were like, oh wait, you're Civil Air Patrol, cool. But the Waldo camera is, I think it's a 4-centimeter resolution imaging pod. It's looks like a great big pill, fits on the wing of a Cessna. When we're flying circular pads, we can do high resolution 3D imagery. That data, when we take it, often is given to FEMA. Skyline does the processing on it, and then GeoINT, which is another company.
I believe Skyline's here.
And Skyline's here. I'm going to go talk to them, say, hey, FEMA's here. I'm going to go talk to them again, say, hey. But that imagery, I'll give you a couple examples of recent events where we used the imagery. So like the Mississippi tornadoes last year, or the Tennessee tornadoes. So we went out, we flew high resolution imagery with the Waldo camera. That was given to Skyline to process, and then given to the company GeoINT, which did AI/ML on top of it and did automated damage assessments of the structures.
So what happens to the imagery after you take the mission? Is that available for everybody, or who is that releasable to?
It is. So CAP, by design, doesn't actually own the data. We provide the information into the FEMA imagery uploader,
okay.
Of which they are redoing. I believe they just finished the contract, so I don't want to say exactly who it is, but I think the contract has been officially released for who they made their decision with, but they're going to modify it. But we give our imagery to FEMA. They own it, and the real reason is, and these are some conversations I've been having lately on just some of the briefings I've been giving, is they own the data. Like, so they put the request for us to fly it and take the data, but they're the owners of it. It's their money against it.
They sponsor
it. They get to keep the data.
Yeah.
When it comes to doing missions, if you really think about it, CAP's actually really inexpensive. We charge maybe $150 an hour for the Cessna with a free pilot, a volunteer pilot that wants to do it because they're trying to serve the nation for disaster response.
Yeah.
But we're flying ever more highly capable sensors on top of that. So another example, like a really good example to kind of tell what my program, the National CAP Geospatial program is we had 3 goals for my program. And the first one is to help augment FEMA in times of natural disasters or other federal agencies or states with trained GIS specialists. Can I teach CAP members GIS skills, geospatial skills, and have companies or others to teach our members how to do this? We're going to have operations qualifications. So the FEMA has its PQS. We took theirs. The examples from the National Alliance for Public Safety GIS, NAPSIG, and working with them and generating ours so that when we have our members, we can say, you've been officially trained. You've proven that you know how to do this. You've done it in real world events or in exercise training events, so that when a real disaster hits, we can take our members and put them into maybe state, county, emergency operations centers, because FEMA only has 100 more so people nationwide that are doing work that NGA taught them in the past, but they can't be everywhere. There's some states where they only may have 1 person or no people.
Yeah.
Can we bring in CAP members and help augment them with volunteers? So that's the first goal of my program. The second one is to help CAP internally visualize our own capabilities using geospatial tools. We have an enterprise license through Esri, they're the big ones, right? So with ArcGIS, so can we help our own virtual incident management teams, because we're dispersed nationwide, and often when we're doing a large event, we're doing it distributed via people sitting at home on their computers. So how can we leverage all that data, both from an administrative component to an operational component of the data? And then the third goal is to how do I bring our cadets and senior members into the geospatial world and provide them an opportunity to get into those fields by exposing them to the training and information. So I used that and explained the goals because last year we did the Puerto Rico earthquake. So a year ago, February, major earthquake down in Puerto Rico. On Wednesday night, I got a call from Chris Vaughn, who was the GIO for FEMA, and he said, "Hey Scott, we don't have any vetted imagery on the ground of the current disaster. Can you help us?" That night, 2 of my guys, my experts from Maryland, and a gentleman from from NAPSIG, National Alliance for Public Safety GIS, created a Survey 123 app in ArcGIS. The following morning, we had that in the hands of both senior members and cadets, and I really hit on cadets because how cool is it to be able to get kids involved in disaster response? Because normally you don't get to do this, and it's one of the few organizations that allows them to do so. And we had them out in the field with a handheld app taking photos of the damage. That imagery was given back to FEMA. That's how they got the Presidential Disaster Declaration for the earthquake. While that was happening at the same time, we had SUAS teams and aircraft, our Cessna aircraft teams, inbound to Puerto Rico. The winds were high. Initially they flew the SUAS because they could handle the winds. We flew LiDAR on the aircraft. Then when that weekend and the winds died down, the aircraft were flying, so we were flying oblique imagery, the Waldo imagery. They also took the Waldo camera and put it on top of a CAP vehicle, and they were driving it around, think Google Street View or whatever, but 3D imagery on the ground.
So I've looked at Puerto Rico, the imagery that's available, and that's got to be some of the best publicly available data I've ever seen in multiple stacks. Yeah, it's incredible.
And it was all done by CAP.
Yeah.
So when we talk about Goal 1, we just helped augment FEMA with GIS, trained GIS people. Goal 2, all of that we actually put into our GIS and we put it on a map, so we were visualizing where was the imagery being taken in real time. We put other layers like weather, recent earthquakes and all the other type of information that we could have. That was given to our virtual incident management team, our Southeast region commander, who I asked after the fact of it all, it's like, did this help you? And her response was, yes, because I was trying to picture this all in my head. So I met goal 2. I helped CAP internally visualize our own assets of what we were doing. And then goal 3, I had cadets out in the field. So all in one event, I got to hit all 3 goals of my program.
That's incredible.
And we've been doing it multiple times since then.
So what's next for CAP?
The next big thing, so we're kind of expanding out into some of the mission sets that we're doing. So a really good example that just happened. So Hurricane Ida hit down in Louisiana, Category 3 storm. Again, we got a request from FEMA from multiple different directions. So we had civil virtual aircraft flying the missions, taking imagery, Geospatial imagery. FEMA was using CAP Air imagery, NOAA imagery, commercial imagery, satellites, then the imagery that's given through the National Insurance Bureau. When there's a major disaster, they fly large swaths of imagery and can give it to disaster response if they're flying it.
Yep.
So all those different imagery sets were being taken, and what they needed was FEMA did AI/ML against the disaster environment, and it laid down hundreds of thousands of polygons over structures to say where it thought a structure was and see if they could potentially classify the structure. Mm-hmm. And what they found out is they had a real hard time, for whatever reason, this time. We've had much better experiences with it last year, but this time they were like, okay, can we crowdsource looking at the structures to say, is the polygon accurate? And then actually make a formal assessment. So basically doing basic imagery analysis on the event. I got a call or an email on Wednesday to ask about it. Thursday we had our first meeting. Or maybe it was Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday the email went out asking for help across all of Civil Air Patrol, saying if you're interested in being involved in this crowdsourcing effort, sign up. We had 760 people sign up for the event. At the end of the day, we actually had 327 people actually get involved in doing assessments. Within 2 weeks, we had to make a little pause to do some better training. I had 10 teams. 2 of those teams were led by cadets. We assessed 197,000 polygons in under 2 weeks. They wanted us to look at, I think it was like almost 38,000 grids. They had set up in grids that you could basically check out, do the polygons within that section, and then close out the grid. We were 500 short of finishing all the ones they wanted done when FEMA asked us to stop.
What was their feedback?
They loved it. So the cool part about it is, one, I had people from 38 states involved. And out of that, the data that we were doing was used by FEMA headquarters, FEMA recovery, FEMA Region 6, the American Red Cross stopped some work that they were doing. They used it. The Housing and Disaster Task Force or something like that, where they're going out helping get people. Small Business Administration, the Federal Insurance Management Agency, all of them are using that data to help the recovery and help the survivors to get them the things they need. And we did that all from sitting in our house nationwide. So it's just a really cool story. Again, meeting most of the goals, helped augment FEMA, we were helping ourselves, and I had cadets doing it.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Sure. I mean, the big thing here, and the reason I'm here, obviously at GEOINT, is to build the partnerships. Whether it's from a training aspect, from a working out to figure out what are the use cases and requirements that maybe we can help individual companies help CAP. Do agencies and companies want to help us? Here's an opportunity for serve. It's a big win-win scenario for me, or at least in my opinion, when I'm talking with people, is like, help come expose our members to your technologies, your newest and latest, greatest things. Maybe let them test it out for you, because you got free help, right? People who are just dying to get involved and help. And on the flip side, you get to expose your technologies and your capabilities, not just to our members, but also potentially train your future employees and allow them to get involved. And then, figuring out the spots where we can maybe build other types of relationships to expand the geospatial fields, to help emergency response, help serve the U.S. In a whole different other capacity. So I love it because I can sit here and talk all day and say, do you want to help? Do you want to learn? Do you want to serve? That's what we're all about.
So how do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of CAP if they do want to help with your mission? Not just CAP's, but your mission.
So there's a GIS at cap.gov. We have a hub, like the CAP hub. It's gis.cap.gov. You can Google us on that. We also have our national homepage, which is gocivillerairpatrol.com. If you look under the emergency services tab, you'll see one that still actually says CAP GIS, but that also has all the links. I have a survey on there. Originally it was designed just for CAP members, because I was just trying to say, hey, if you're interested in joining, I take all of those folks and I put them in a Microsoft Teams environment that I have. I have a Geospatial COI. I have over 1,000 people in it now. But I've had other people who've signed up, companies who reached, and I'm like, how'd you find the link? And so I send you an email, and I have an email that I send to you, and I say, hi, are you interested in joining CAP, or are you looking to partner?
Yeah.
Let's have that conversation, and you can reach out to us that way.
That's great. Well, thanks for joining us, and awesome seeing here at GEOINT 2021, especially since this hasn't been done in 2 years, right? So,
this is incredible. It's a blast. This is only my second GEOINT.
To show up,
I'm excited to be here.
The turnout is also incredible. So hope. Well, we're only on day 2, so we're about to see the exhibit hall open up.
That's going to be fun.
And that's going to be a blast. So thanks again, Scott. Well, it's been an awesome overview of the Civil Air Patrol and your projects.
I appreciate it, and thanks for everybody's help, and I look forward to talking to you. Reach out. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'll reach out to you that way.
Talk to everybody next time.
Thanks.